Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Papa Russ Show. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about NASCAR.
Why are you hijacking the show?
Ha ha ha! Because I can.
Yeah, good.
Just
good
like
question.
you tried stealing the car.
Yeah, that's right.
Now he's still in the Total Trash Network.
Never know what I'll do next. Anyhow, today we'll be talking about Rusty's favorite sport, NASCAR.
Oh, goody.
Oh boy.
Robert's done a little bit of research into this.
You know what? I don't like NASCAR, but this is interesting because it involves redesigning cars.
All right, so Robert, why don't you jump into it? What's going on with...
So they've been slowly hinting at it for a while now, but as of yesterday, at the time of this recording, so about 2 weeks ago, if you're listening, they unveiled the Gen 7 stock car, which is a big redesign. The cars don't even look nothing like what they did, nor do they perform anything like they did.
Mm-hmm.
It's big changes.
Okay. What prompted this change?
Cost. You're big into NASCAR, so you already know this, but NASCAR doesn't pull in the sponsorships that they did decades ago. They're not as big of a sport as they used to be.
Well, they alienated a lot of
their demographic
as well.
So what they've been doing to help try to save money is they've been building the cars in ways that will make it easier to maintain them and repair them and rebuild them if something happens and they lose a car, since they can't rely on the sponsorship money as much as they used to.
Right.
Also, another reason that they're wanting to help save money in the sport, you have Hendrick Motorsports, you have Stewart Haas Racing, you have Joe Gibbs Racing. And people are like, okay, if you're not a fan, who are they?
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs was the Washington football team head football coach for some of their Super Bowl victories. They all have 4-car teams. So when you've got a 4-car team, and then you got Roger Penske, who also owns a NASCAR team. They own 2 to 4 cars, or 3. Penske owns 3, the rest of them own 4. They can take a sponsor and put them on 3 or 4 different race cars for a much smaller price than these 1-car teams can. So if you get 4 race cars to put a sponsor on, who are you going to go with? A 1-car team and pay the same price as you would a 4-car team? Which would you rather do? For viewership, for fans to see, and TV time? If you've got a 4-car team that runs in the top 10 or 15 cars every race, well, it'd be a no-brainer. Because if you're a 1-car team, you don't have the money to go test. You don't have the equipment. You don't have the engineers that these 4-car teams have. So therefore, your price is on 4 different cars. Your money is on 4 different cars, and it can pull together and put better engineers on a car, on a team. And therefore, you're getting a bigger bang for your dollar.
Exactly. And the other reason why is because it's supposed to help with smaller teams who don't have the resources to keep their cars going.
Right.
So it's designing it so that it's fair for everyone, that the major teams that have all the money don't leave the smaller ones stuck.
Right. And this year, a perfect example for that is the reason that NASCAR is trying to do this is they're trying to help these small teams win and be competitive with the, juggernauts of the sport. This year at the Daytona 500, Michael McDowell, who drives for Front Row Motorsports, a smaller team, smaller funded team, he wins the Daytona 500. And that will add $1 million a year for the rest of his career to that team's funds. I don't know about y'all, but $1 million extra a year, shoot, if I could add that to my paycheck, you think I'd jump in there and do it.
Do you think there's any hope that doing this to not only save money, but could also potentially get some of the demographic they lost reinterested in the sport so that it doesn't completely die out, because it seems like it's really starting to suffer?
I can't predict that.
I don't know if this is going to have any impact as far as that. I will say the cars are a lot more interesting now. There's a lot of the changes are actually really cool.
All right, so why don't you talk about some of the changes? You said something about reverse.
Okay, yes.
Important one. I'm glad we're backing up to that.
So, for decades, as long as I can remember, they have been, so NASCAR has been using a 4-speed standard H-shifter transmission. No reverse.
Right.
4-speed. So in the current generation, they are switching to a 5-speed sequential manual with reverse. You know what the difference is between H-shifter and sequential, right?
Okay.
I'm asking you.
Educate us.
Okay, so sequential
for the ones that don't know.
So standard H-shifter is what you find in a normal vehicle, right? Where you go up, down, standard gearing. Sequential is it's either up or down. It's a straight stick. You just tilt it up to go up and tilt it back to go down. It's just straight up and down. You go through one gear at a time, and it goes either one up or one down in a sequential order. That's all it is to it. It's simple. The other thing is that they're shifting up the rear axles. So the rear axles in NASCARs for a long time, not always, but for a long time, have been live truck axles. Solid beam on that is where springs are used to stabilize them. Now they're switching to independent rear suspension.
Okay.
So each wheel is going to be on its own set, so will function like independently from one another. It's not a solid beam, and they're not connected, which is what you find on a lot of more higher end performance cars or sporty Japanese vehicles, because it gives you better mobility in cornering.
Right.
So it'll give you that added grip in the corners where you might be able to or mobility where you can just swing past the car easier, which will make it a little bit more exciting.
Because you got to watch those sharp left turns in
exactly.
NASCAR. Yeah.
Because usually, too, the other thing is they'll keep the car on the ground, so less likely that one would lose control, which would make for more competitive racing.
4 hours later, what are you going to come back and look for, Sydney?
Which also means we're going to probably see less of the most exciting parts of NASCAR.
Another left turn?
Yeah.
But the other big change is they are completely redoing the aerodynamics of the car. They're redesigning the splitters, the wings, and all that, so it'll add extra downforce, which is also good too, because better downforce means that they're going to go a little bit faster. Or more aerodynamics means they're going to go a little bit faster. More downforce means that's going to hold the ground better, which is also helpful. And all that, for the moment, they're still keeping the V8. I misinterpreted what was going on. But later in the generation, they are considering switching to a hybrid engine. Or a hybrid system. Which is also good, too. Because, you get more torque.
Right.
We already had that discussion a few episodes back. With electric vehicles.
Yeah, we did.
Which, they still use a lot of research from the racetrack to your street car.
Yeah, motorsports has always been, not just NASCAR, but motorsports in general have always been a driving force into the advancement of technology in cars. Things you see in motorsports, usually 4 or 5 years down the line, you'll start seeing integrated into normal vehicles.
Right.
And so Goodyear still trickles out into the street tire as well, believe it or not. Now, I don't know how much the two of you have ever sat down and watched NASCAR. I don't know. I'm not going to assume that you do.
I haven't watched NASCAR since Dale died.
Okay, that's been 20 years. So, lately, the last few seasons, they have broken it up. It's not just a straight one race thing. They have what they call stage races. They have 3 stages in a cup race. So, in other words, at the end of stage 1, the top 10 teams get points. At the end of stage 2, the top 10 teams in the race get points. At the end of the race, wherever you finish is where you finish for the entire race. And then you get points for that too. But the stage points get added into the playoff system at the end of their 26 regular season system. And that moves it into something. So this year they've had 12 races, I believe it is already, and they've had 11 different winners. So that has made the TV ratings actually go up this year. That, with saving money and helping the smaller teams, and actually a smaller team won this year, like I said, the Daytona 500. And the smaller teams are doing well because there's no practice at the track. There's no qualifying. They're just getting out there, and what you get is what you get. It's like rolling dice. So it's actually making the fans watch more because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What cracked you up? The no practice thing?
No, I went off on one of your ADD rabbit trails.
You did? I was talking about NASCAR. Where did you go?
Robert mentioned hybrid engine in the future. And one of the things we talked about before was electric cars. Could you imagine that in NASCAR?
Well, I mean, they're already doing it in Formula One. But the other thing is, too...
I mean, one big part of that sport is, the accidents and the loud engines, all the noise.
The American V8s.
Can you imagine? Here they come.
Sydney, let's get it very, very, very plain. Red.
Oh, God.
And now, brought to you by Lithium Batteries.
Sponsored in part by Whitmar Productions. We can plug that one.
And completely brought to you by the Total Trash Network.
You heard it here first, folks.
So, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the other thing that would be really interesting about NASCAR is that apparently when, I don't know if they're going to do like a lot of hybrids do where the car runs on electricity sometimes, but then when it needs more power, the engine kicks on. Because then you go, like, when you go around the corners, right? Car would be just whistling. You don't hear anything. And then when they get it straight, you all of a sudden hear, Rah!
And the best thing to do is make Robert your driver, so you got to change tires even quicker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they already have changed tires like every 20 laps anyway. So.
Well, with Robert to be every 15.
Here they come.
Ding, 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 ding.
Lift off.
Where did they go?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy. Anyhow.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
You know what we should do? Start our own battery company so when they do go all battery powered, we can call it TT and Batteries.
I would not buy batteries from a company that calls themselves Total Trash.
Well, now the show is totally trashed.
Well,
but that would be a sponsorship.
Oh, boy. Anyhow, folks.
It's been real and it's been fun, but we can't say that it's been real fun.
Yuck.
Ha ha ha. At least I'm not plugging additional sponsors. We don't have to
do a disclaimer this time.
Yeah. Well, guys.
That's all we got for you this time, folks. Until next time.
So long,
everybody.